had to scramble to edit yesterday's wellness card draw and post it today. Today, the corresponding card. Oh, we got stress less. Finally, a different category, and it reads: if you are feeling anxious, play with a fidget toy to keep your hands busy. This is a topic that I have wanted to make, but I never really knew quite how to address it because I'm not entirely aware of the things that I do when I'm nervous. But I'll try to point out what I know I have observed on myself. The first thing I can say is that sometimes when I'm a passenger in someone's car, I'll be shaking my leg, like that thing you do where your leg is like going up and down rapidly. Something about it completely went unnoticed by me until I was riding with my godfather. We were going somewhere. It had to be getting food or shopping. This was over 10 years ago. He said, why are you doing that? And I'm like, what do you mean? Why are you shaking your leg? And I'm like, oh, it's just something I do. I have been doing that since forever, but I never really thought about why I do that. When he pointed it out, I tried to give it some thought, and I simply concluded that I guess it comes out to express excitement or eagerness about something. And anytime we would go out by ourselves, I was leaving home. I was leaving mom sometimes. And during that time, I remember that it was during the times when mom and I were having our challenges. And it wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but if there's something that I have been deprived of for a long time is going out and doing things and seeing things. And I made about, was it 2 years ago? A video about how I wish I had the guts to go to places by myself, but I don't like to. I don't want to go hiking by myself. I don't want to go to museums or anything by myself. I just don't feel right being by myself. And if I had to guess why, I think it's because as a kid, I was overprotected. And I still want to continue to feel that element of protection. Although it felt a little bit overwhelming at the time, I understand why it happened. And it's something that I wish to continue. Does it create a dependence for me? Yeah, it's nothing good because life is just passing me by. And I'm depriving myself of experiences because I refuse to make moves on my own. But it's just the way I am. And I'm not going to pretend that if I go by myself, for myself, that I'm going to enjoy it as much as I would if I spend the time with someone who I care about to immediately talk to about things in the same manner that I can do commentary on something and talk to the person who's with me about, oh, smell this, feel this, look at this. That person is going to do the same to me. They may see and pick up on things that I would have missed, like at the zoo. Hey, look at that mug over there. Oh, look, he's hiding over there. Oh, look at this, look at that. I like that. It's interactive. When I'm by myself, I can self-entertain and stimulate my thoughts by, okay, I'm by myself, I'm silent. When I'm silent, I'm dangerous because I can fixate on things with no limit. And I have full control of things, and especially my time. But when it comes to me being away from my comfort setting, which is home or say the city at the very least, I just don't feel right. And I also like the feeling of having company because if something happens with me or to me, then someone has a lead. Someone knows where to look for me or how to help me, or they know shit about me. But being out on my own in such a massive place, such as the continental USA, is just not something appealing. I find it utterly terrifying to be out there on my own. So that's one thing I do. When I start shaking like that, I notice that there's something that I'm anticipating or something that I'm going against, some kind of norm that I'm going against. And leaving somewhere on the nick of time, say, oh, we're supposed to be somewhere at 5:30. It's a 15-minute drive, but we're leaving home at 5:25. That's gonna make me shake a little bit because it's like, well, shit. we're late. My sense of responsibility simply fires up. That's another example that I can provide. Another thing I do, which I learned one of my former managers did this too, is when I'm sleeping, of course, I sleep on my stomach or on my side primarily, but if there's something I do is I shake my foot, both of them, or sometimes just one, but usually both. Ever since I was a kid, I noticed that they're moving kind of like this, like my ankle is twisting and they're moving from side to side. And the reason I do that is very, very, very simple. I need the sensation of rocking. I don't know if it was because as a kid I became sensitive to that, given that I'm a kinesthetic learner. The sensation of my crib being rocked is something that just impressed me a lot and stuck to me. Or maybe it's because I am a hyper energetic person and that energy just needs to go somewhere. And I feel like if I do that, not only is it comforting, but it's like I'm using up energy, using up calories that help me, I guess, tire myself into sleep, if that makes sense. That I do not 100% have a absolute answer of this is exactly why it happens and why I do it. It's totally involuntary. I don't notice I'm doing it unless I hear, like, as my feet are shaking, that sound of something rubbing on the surface. If the room becomes quiet and I pick up on that sound, it's like, oh, okay, that sound is creating a shaking sensation in the rest of my body. Okay, I know what it is, something like that. But it's something that I have done since forever. I still do it to this day. It shows no signs of stopping, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. While editing this video, it hit me that although this is about how you're supposed to fidget with your hands to keep your hands busy, I really don't have a lot of hand things I do, but if there's something I do as I'm making videos is now that I have this chair, I like to spin on it. And it's because I have always been fascinated by chairs that can spin. And while I was doing my job evaluation with my manager, I was being an absolute clown. Anytime he said something that I debated him on, I would completely do a spin in a circle and then be like, so what is your objection to that? And he would legit chuckle. But that is because I like that I'm in an informal setting, except for my job, of course, but here making videos. If I'm in an informal setting, it's like I'm giving myself a tactile and a visual cue that what I'm doing is not serious. Now, if I'm in a meeting, if I'm legitimately in an interview, I know how to limit that type of bullshit. But if I don't got to, I'm not going to because I don't want to. Another thing I guess I do is when I'm at work, I like to stand very still, but if I have a pen handy, I will mess with it. Like I'll start spinning it, turning it, twisting it. And I also do that to kind of train myself with fine manipulation because I noticed that there's stuff that people can do with their fingers and pins that I just absolutely cannot even get started. And I always felt like I had great fine manipulation skills, but then when someone tries to give me a tutorial on how to say spin a pin and I can't do it, I'm like, shit, what have I been doing my whole life? I stand and I can focus on just that and see what I can do. But that's all I'm doing. The rest of my body, I can command to be perfectly still. And I like to be doing something. I guess at work, whenever we have those downtimes to where I have cleaned, I have taken out my trash, I have put carts and baskets away, my till has money, there's no orders, stuff like that. I guess I crave the sensation of being productive. And what better way to be productive than practicing with a pen, which is not a skill that I have. Another thing I was doing for a while was I was practicing keyboarding skills with the register. And then once I became as good as I know I will get with that shit, it's like, oh, I don't need to practice on this because I don't have a way of getting better with this anymore. Like I'm at my summit with the skill. So for a while during COVID, what I was trying to practice was my left hand. But unfortunately, my keyboard is on the left side and there's like a counter immediately next to me. So if I want to use my left hand, I would have to cross over like this. And if I'm crossing over like this is not like an ergonomics way of positioning my hand for proper keyboarding. So it's not something I get to practice. And I know that my left hand is super weak with keyboarding. But it's one of those things that I wish I could slide my keyboard to the opposite side and then challenge myself in that manner. It's just something that I'm always curious about. If I detect a weakness on me, I try to work on it. Balancing myself is another thing that I like to do when I'm at work. It's like, oh, what would it feel like to stand on one leg? Realistically, how long can I do that for? And let me try my other one so that one gets stressed, but the other one is resting, and then I switch it up. So fidgeting is definitely something I'm aware I do. Those are the only instances I can really think of. But other times, my fidgeting is also when I'm getting familiar with something. To describe this, imagine that you're establishing a connection or a relationship with things that you own, your materials. I like to do that for when I have to be, I guess, occupied in a way that disables me. Let's say that I'm driving, but I need to reach for my glasses wipes. Let's pretend this is my glasses wipes. I have taken the time of touching them, feeling the edges, feeling what they feel like when they're folded, feeling what they feel like when they're wrinkled up like this, and all that type of thing. So as I'm driving, I could just reach for my bag, slide the zipper open, reach into it, and seek the object that matches that by touch sensation that I'm pre-imagining. And as soon as I feel it, it's like, okay, retrieve. Another thing could be my lotion. The lotion that I have in my purse resembles this one exactly like this, same size. My sunscreen is about half the size and a little slimmer. So I know that if I'm reaching for my lotion while I'm, say, driving, but there's not an immediate red light coming up, it's like, oh, okay, let me reach for it, let me find it, let me have it out and place it over the seat. And that way, when I reach the red light, all I gotta do is whoop, retrieve it, do my thing, and put it away. It's one of those things that I guess as a tactile person, I just go for. And I don't have to really confirm my actions with sight very much. Like if I need something or want something, I already know in my mind what picture, but by touch, I am looking for. My chapstick too, a little small little thingy like this. Sometimes I just need it out of nowhere and I'm busy doing something or I'm engaged doing something. For me, looking for something doesn't distract me quite like other people. They have to completely use their eyes and stop paying attention to whatever it is, and then if you were talking to them, you have to repeat yourself because they missed out on what you were saying. No, I'm not like that. I'm like, I'm still listening to you. I'm still looking at you. I'm reaching for my shit. I'm unscrewing the cap. I'm doing what I have to do and then putting it back, and I can continue to engage with you. No interruption. I don't know if that's something that's easy for people to just do across the board, or if you have to train yourself for that, or if some people genuinely have to struggle with this. I'm just saying that this is not something I struggle with, and I guess I can share how I trained myself into doing that, even though I wasn't trying to train myself to do this so that I don't get distracted when I'm, say, driving or having a conversation with someone. But sometimes people just space the fuck out so hard that it just bothers me, because I'm like, I can do the same shit you're doing and not get lost, become non-functioning. I don't get it. Finally, something that occurred to me right after I finished recording is if there is something that I occupy my hands with, if we are hanging out in person and we're like in a relaxed setting, you will observe me doing this. And it's because ever since I started working, I guess not too long after I started working, I always have had pain like right here. And it kind of radiates this way, and I like massaging it, pressing on it, and messing with it. And I can tell you exactly where the pain is everywhere in my hand. This area, I really don't feel anything because I'm so bony anyway. But here, this is super soothing. Even though it never gets better, I never experience relief. There's never a time I'm not in pain, especially if I'm holding something or squeezing something. I like the sensation of feeling like I'm working on it. So this is not really a fidget. This is not, oh, I'm nervous, therefore I'm making my hands busy by doing this. This is genuinely therapeutic for me. It's soothing. Pain sucks. And sometimes I think, well, shit, I guess this might be the beginning of arthritis or something. I have no idea. I don't care. As long as my hands can continue to work and do things, I'm not worried about it, but I know exactly centimeter by centimeter where my discomfort is. And this hand, the center of it is not as painful as this hand, whereas right here is like, oh, radiating pain. But this one, I can press super hard and I don't feel anything. But on this spot, like this right here, I do feel the pain exactly as I feel it right here. I just wonder why this one doesn't have that kind of pain. Ever since I started messing with the pull up bar, I feel like that not feeling I had has diminished, and maybe this might be a grip problem. Maybe I just need to keep working on that and keep focusing on that. But I feel like after I started lifting is when it began getting worse. But this is not a gesture of, oh my God, you're grilling me and I'm uncomfortable. Nothing like that. This is, I legit have something medical going on. Leave me alone. Oh, and I do this with my feet as well. Like, let's pretend these are my feet because no, I'm not going to show you. I do the same thing. The very center of the sole, I kind of squeeze it like this, expand it, and then I start like deep tissuing it. It feels like it's pretty soothing. I also have, this would be a great time to have like telekinetic powers. But I have one of these. When I come back from work and I take off my shoes, I give this a little roll on my feet. And since it's spiky, you can imagine how deep tissuey it feels. 100% recommend. It's not curing it, but it's giving me relief. So yeah, you guys, those are pretty much my instances of, I guess, being a little fidgety. I really cannot think of anything else that I may do that's out of nervousness. My glasses, I guess you guys may observe me doing this a lot because they genuinely need adjustment. For starters, these are old. My biggest fear is breaking them. And as you can see, they tend to do that. They're just loose. They need to be tightened. And I think the looseness happens because as I work, or practically in the daytime, when I'm not off, I'm wearing a mask, and my mask, I slide it underneath my glasses. In turn, it's making the legs of my glasses kind of like expand some. And when I tighten them, they just start gradually loosening up because I'm adjusting them so much because they feel too tight that at some point they loosen as much as they're going to loosen, and that's it. Because I remember that before COVID, I feel like I only needed to tighten them once every year, and now it's like, oh, after 2 months, they get loosened up again. But that's not a fidgeting thing. When something itches in my skin, which unfortunately I do have skin problems that plague me like that, I don't have an issue of addressing it. I'm not going to just sit there and resist the urge to scratch. It's like, no, if I get itchy, if something falls in my eye or whatever and I'm talking, you guys have seen it. I will continue to talk as I mess with my eye and do things. Like, I don't get my concentration disrupted by a physical issue. But anyways, you guys, that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what your experiences are with this one. And if you share any fidgeting with me, let me know. And let me know if you noticed when it might have begun for you. For me, the things that I described have pretty much been with me since forever. But the leg shaking in a car, I want to say that one started when I was a teen, maybe, because I do not remember as a kid fidgeting like that. But I do remember as a kid that the whole shaking of my feet as I was lying in bed trying to go to sleep, that had been happening since forever. Like, I have a vivid recollection of me being in elementary school, like going to bed to go to school the next day, and that was a thing. Because I remember the sound that I described hearing. Let's take it from there. I'll see you next time.